So, good afternoon. Hello, welcome. Before we start, the presentation will be in English, but German's translation is available. If you want, you get headsets on the left side or on the right side, here at the door. Thanks. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oliver Scheel. I'm Business Development Manager at EMVA. And welcome to the LogiMAT Expert Forum. And thank you for being here. I start with a short introduction to machine vision in Logistik. And then we will move into a panel discussion with our experts. And together we look at how machine vision is driving automation and enabling the dark warehouse. So let me say a few words about the EMVA. At the moment, the EMVA represents around 170 companies across Europe and working on machine vision. Our mission is to promote this technology, develop standards, and brings machine vision into real-world application. Let me explain this machine vision in three simple parts. First, what is machine vision? It helps machine understand images and make decisions. Second, where is it used? For example, in identification, object detection, robotic picking, inspection, and tracking. And third, important, what is the benefit? Faster processes, fewer errors, better visibility, and lower cost. Let's look at two very important use cases in logistics. First, inspection. Inspection means checking labels, barcodes, and package quality. It also helps detect damaged goods early. And second, tracking. This means following parcel through the system, monitoring inventory movement, and understanding warehouse flows. Together, this gives full visibility of what is happening in the warehouse. So what are the benefits? What are the main benefits of machine vision? First, efficiency. It helps process parcels faster and reduce manual work. Second, robustness. These systems run 24/7 and reduce human errors. And third, automation. Machine vision is a key step towards automated warehouse systems. In short, more efficiency with less effort. Let's look at same real-world application. First, automated parcel sorting. Cameras read barcodes and labels, and parcels are routed automatically. Second, robotic picking. Vision systems detect items in bins. And robots can pick them in different positions. Third, damage detection. Vision systems can identify damaged packages in real time. These examples show what machine vision is already used in real operations today. So, to sum up, machine vision makes logistics faster, more accurate, and more transparent. And most importantly, it is a key enabler of a dark warehouse, a warehouse that can run fully automatically. So, before we move to the panel discussion, let me quickly introduce our moderator, Professor Dr. Jana Jost, Head of Institute of Technical Logistik in Hamburg and expert in robotics and in Chandler's logistic systems. And welcome, and Jana, your stage.
Perfect, thank you, Oliver. Yeah. I'm very happy to be here, and I also like to welcome you to our panel on the way to the dark warehouse, creating value with machine vision in logistics today, but also in the future. And I like to welcome with you together 4 of my guests. We start with Nicholas Tengelin. Please hands up for Nicholas. He leads European Robotics as a service company focused on AI-driven warehouse attention with extensive experience in the automotive industry. He previously held senior roles at Volvo Cars or at Hedon Mobility Group. Today, scalable automation solutions are deployed in close collaboration with logistics operator, combining machine vision, robotics, and advanced sensing technologies. So, good to have you here.
Nice to be here.
The second guest is Phil Zambrook. So please, Phil, join us as well. And Phil leads the company's strategy of Zebra Technologies in transport and logistics with extensive experience across logistics, technology, and e-commerce. He previously held senior roles at Udel Delivery Network and Brightstar. And today he works closely with logistic operators to improve operation efficiency and scale digital and automation solutions. So welcome to the panel as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, the third guest I know already more than 10 years, so I'd like to welcome Volker Glöckle from SICK. And Volker is Senior Vice President, Integrated Automation. He's responsible for SICK's global integrated automation solutions portfolio. He oversees areas such as barcode reading, robot guidance, EMR localization and navigation, and real-time tracking systems. And with extensive experience in sensor-based automation and intralogistics systems, he works with integrators, logistics operators to enable scalable warehouse automation. And welcome to the stage as well. And last but not least, I also like to introduce to you Jonathan Kesselud. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. He is co-founder and CEO of Captic. It's a Gent-based AI vision company which is focusing on advanced automation and industrial logistics environments. He has a background in business engineering. He began his career in strategy and innovation consulting before transitioning into AI-powered computer vision, driven by a strong passion for production logistics and heavy industry. And over the past 8 years, he has been working on combining vision and robotics to handle real-world problems. So good to have you here as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so now I have 4 real experts coming from machine vision with different perspectives, and we want to discuss a little bit about the future of logistics and the future of machine vision with logistics. But I also am very happy that you are all here, and I'll try to integrate into, as good as possible, your insights and your questions as well into the panel. And the panel, before we really start to dive into the topic, let's discuss a little bit about the controversial topic of the panel, because maybe you have a different opinion about if the dark warehouse is our future or not. We will dive into that a little bit. And everybody who knows me knows that I'm really a fan of human-technology interaction. So I think really it's important that humans and technologies will be combined to have the best of both worlds. But maybe you guys have a different opinion. So maybe let's start with Jonathan. What's your thought about the world of the logistics?
At the moment, I do think that human operators are still needed. There are many tasks that can't be solved at the moment. But maybe in the future there might be a time where everything can be solved by automating it, and that's something that we need to be prepared for. But at the moment I do understand we need to guide our operators, we need to inform them when we implement new technologies so that they at least believe in it, that they support it, and that's definitely important from my end as well. So.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Volker, when we discussed previously to the panel, you also mentioned that the key role are the humans and that they need to be involved in the process, into the integration. What's your opinion on the future of logistics?
Yeah, I think the dark warehouse is definitely something where we are aiming for, but there are so many intermediate steps and logistics is never black and white. So I would say the theme of the dark warehouse will bring us in the situation that we use new technologies to develop new application solutions, and this will gradually go in the direction of a dark warehouse. When are we there? This is a completely different discussion, and as long as we are not there, I would say for a reliable automation solution in a warehouse, the acceptance of employees and the technology that this works seamlessly together, this is the core, and this will last a long time, I would say.
Okay. Nicholas, do you have any other opinion on the time frame especially? So when will be the dark warehouse? You want to shake your glass bowl again?
No, I think we're pretty aligned here on the panel that it might come in the future, but there are many steps on the way here. For us, the interaction then between our robots, or workmates actually, as we call them, and workers or operators on the floor is extremely important. So our interface is more like a computer game, if you like, than a traditional interface. And I think it's going to remain that way for some time. We try and drive then collaboration, performance. It should be fun to work with us and our workmates.
Okay, thank you. And Phil, what's your opinion on the role of the human worker?
I think I'm probably echoing where you're echoing, Jana, and definitely the Zebra Technologies perspective on life at the moment is augmentation of the human worker. So that's where we see the tangible benefit both in the short to middle term. To Volker's point, dark warehouse, will it come in the future? Is it there? Obviously, we seem to be aiming that way, but very definitely for us now as a business and from where we see the results from both customers, partners, and potential prospects, it's very definitely support the worker, augment the worker with better and more efficient means of technology.
Okay. Although we already have a very evolving hype of AI technologies, so you think the necessity of the human worker will remain within the next couple of years, Jonathan?
The necessity of the human worker strongly depends, in my opinion, on what type of warehouse do you have. Mm-hmm. There are specific warehouses, for example, medication. I've seen completely automated warehouses where you can pick medication and then ship them automatically without needing an operator anymore. But then you have more complex operations where you're dealing with oversized objects or where you're dealing with just very flexible objects, and there a human operator will still be needed, at least in the near future, for oversight, as we've already discussed. But yeah, it is strongly linked to the type of operations that you run within your warehouse, in my opinion.
Volker, when looking into the processes SIG is handling, where you actually right now see already that machine vision is giving tangible value?
I think Oliver took away a lot from our discussion. So for me, it's the task of, let's say, barcode reading, OCR reading. I think this is done, and here you see also why does this work. I think the whole thing is based on that you standardize as much as you can. And also coming back to the question, do we need workers still? So a colleague of mine always says, humans are the most error-tolerant module in the logistics supply chain. So meaning, when you can predict what's up there, AI is really a good tool to get things solved, but at least you have to solve it in the physical world. And I would say barcode is something that's done. There are some other things that are definitely not really something to talk about, but still there are applications where you see that vision could really help. Vision combined with AI could really help to improve the automation grade, but there is still some room for workers, I would say.
Okay.
Did I answer the question? I'm not sure.
It's totally fine. Niklas, when talking about creating value, where are you right now creating value from your company with machine vision or with robotics?
So machine vision for us is a critical enabler when we deliver more complex applications like dynamic palletizing or dynamic depalletizing, piece picking, induction, tasks like that. Then where the real value is added is when we can integrate that quite tightly with our other sensory systems, data flows, control systems, orchestration layer, and really link what we see and understand around us with the task that needs to be performed. That's when we can really move from programmed flows of operations to a system that can manage real-world variability and exceptions in real time as we go.
Okay, so how crucial are the processes behind it to get a knowledge out of these processes in advance? Because when a company has a problem and wants to get it solved, do you really just have a look at the specific use case, or are you having a look at a broader view of it?
I mean, the focus is the specific use case. Then in order to be able to deliver on that, you need to understand the whole flow and what can be expected in that flow, so that we can manage the real world variations then.
Okay.
If I can pick in?
Sure.
What I would love to do is, when I've been asked for a new challenge or a new use case, then I love to go there and perform the task that is now being performed by the operator myself for like 1 day to see, okay, how are they dealing with the exceptions? Because it's all about exceptions. And how do they manage it? And vision is an enabler, but it's also mechanics. And now you need to see, okay, how far do we go with the vision? How far can we go with the mechanics to solve it in a very structural way? And that's often, in my opinion, a good way to approach it.
Yeah, and if I may, Jonathan and Jana, we're similar from that perspective. What we see is it's good to see a strong vision, but a vision without that strategy and a vision without those metrics, and those metrics being able to be measured tangibly and in real time, it doesn't work. So all three things have to work in tandem. All three things have to work well together, and all three things have to work, you know, in a continuous way.
And then for us, on top of that, I mean, it's continuous data collection, that making sure that we continuously understand what is happening, how that is developing over time, so that the robots can continue to learn and manage, again, real-world variation.
Are you only learning at one site, or are you also learning at multi-sites in the cloud-based training or something like this?
So in practice it varies, but the basic idea is that we try and draw upon all data that we have available. So we actually don't sell our robots, we do robots as a service, which means that they're always all connected, feeding back data, and that gives us an upper hand in making sure that the robots are always performing as well as the best one on the line.
I think to add to that, some of that will come dependent upon the business, or will become very clear dependent upon the business. If the business is centralized, if the business is uniform in a particular way, then the information is more freely available and more freely able to be used. If it's more decentralized and more spread out, let's say, both geographically and systemically, then obviously the data flow and the way in which that data is captured becomes a little bit more difficult to manage, but still a necessity. So still needs to be managed in some respects.
Yeah, Phil, maybe can you give us more insight about applications you have successfully moved from the pilot state into like a rollout over multiple sites?
It's difficult for us to do from our perspective, because obviously we tend to work more with partners. So we'll work more with Nicholas and Rebel, for example, to do this. So from our perspective, we're a little bit one step removed. So where we would look to work is, Jonathan's already mentioned, understanding what the requirement is, understanding specifically the detail behind why. Why are we there? Why are we having that conversation? What is that challenge? What is that request? And how do we enable that? How do we enable that next step? To do that, Zebra has to work closely with a partner, has to work closely with a specialist, has to work closely with somebody that obviously has the potential solution and the ability to adopt and to enable. So it's probably not quite one for me, but it's probably more for my partners and colleagues around the table, if that's okay.
Maybe then I hand it over to Nicholas.
Please, can you repeat the question again?
So which applications have successfully moved, from your opinion, from pilot side to like a multiple site rollout or something like this?
No, so we are super focused on the applications that I mentioned then. So depalletizing, palletizing, piece picking, induction into things like pocket sorters, picking from totes into customer order boxes, and in all of this really, really complex situations with 250,000 SKUs and large portions of them being changed continuously throughout the season and being able to manage that then. I think together with Zebra and other partners, we are rolling that out then globally, so I think that is already there. The next step now is to, again, then really integrate this and bring together the capabilities provided by machine vision with other sensory systems and making sure that our orchestration layer, our control system can draw upon all of that in again, managing real-world variability.
So what are the challenges you are facing there? Because you talked already about the control layer and interfaces. So what other challenges are you facing?
So I think from a technical point of view, that is the key. Then going from having to program a specific flow of actions that the robot needs to manage, to creating a system that has all these sensory interfaces and data and can take real-time decisions then on how to act. Then from a deployment point of view, for us it's super important to think about this as a product rather than a project. So continuously building that capability so that it is scalable then. And then I think the third component here is data. Data, and making sure that we use that data to keep on training and learning, teaching our workmates to perform as well as possible.
Okay. Jonathan, you already mentioned that to collect data, you are doing the job, but what other techniques are there already on the market? So when you're the worker and you're not used to the process, probably you're not doing it the right way. So what techniques are you using?
To collect data or what?
Yeah, to collect data or to get more information about the process, the requirements which are needed.
But we have a similar approach to Nicola. For us, we're also building products, but only on the vision space, and we're then working together with partners such as Rebel, not yet, but maybe in the future, to solve hard vision use cases. And then having multiple conversations with your end customers to understand what they exactly need, what the exceptions are very important. Then going on site, seeing it with your own eyes is very important. And one thing, and Nicola's already mentioned, the most important thing that you need to remember is data. What we often do is already install cameras without linking it already to robotics, etc., but to already understand, okay, what is happening on the floor, already collect images of pallets that are moving by so that us as companies that are providing the vision can already have images that can be labeled, that can be used to retrain models that we already have, but that are then better at generalizing in that specific area at a customer. That's also very important in my opinion. So that's.
Volker, for you, what is the key factor? Is it data, or what are you focusing on?
It is definitely data, and we are still not there where we have to be. I think vision has also its limitations. If you think you would like to pile up a pallet, and you have toilet paper on the bottom, and then you have some heavy things on top. Exactly. So their vision also come to its limits. But I think what you may have heard of all the discussion that we have, the crucial thing for me, in the past, I was also responsible as project managers for logistics centers. We described the throughput, we described what are the objects, and we described everything, and we built in the automation. And then we had an acceptance test, and from there on it has to run. Now it's a different approach to say, let's start before you need really the throughput maybe in this dedicated application, and then you learn through the job. Mm-hmm. And this is something that has to be very prominent in the discussion when you start a project. So what I have mainly learned is that the main change is that the system will evolve throughout the time, and that was not given in the past. You have a clear, let's say, clear hours located to the project. You have a clear acceptance test, and then you have to meet that, and it was finished. And here you have the chance to get better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit the change of culture of the customer as well.
Yeah, and what
also
I really
the products that they receive from their customers and their suppliers.
And what I really miss, we have so many, the connection of the data. I think if you look into what we are doing at SIG, and we have also seen cap and postal parcels. I think we have 10 times where we take the item and where we say this is the number, are the properties, so the size, the length, the width. We do not reuse this data, and this is at one point stupid.
But we are doing it like for already decades like this. So
Right.
so why are we not changing it? What's the critical point? Everybody wants to keep their data, or what's the tricky part? Interfaces, standards? It's hard for everybody here, the question, not only Volker, but...
Carry on.
I agree that historically that has been a challenge. I think we are really trying to challenge that perception that it needs to be like that. We work with the robots as a service model, meaning that we become part of the team, we're part of the customer's organization, so the data issue becomes less sensitive from that point of view. And when you, as a customer or as an industry, or as a user, understand how critical it is for the actual performance of the, in our case, workmates then at our customer's site, it becomes an obvious thing then that must also be part of the way we work together. And I think with that perception, providers, if it's either technology providers or if it's stakeholders like us delivering then a product, you then establish an opportunity to work together with the customers to drive performance over time. So you move away from the traditional way of delivering automation in a system integration project, where delivery day is basically the last day of the project, to a situation where delivery day is the first day. And then you can work together consistently to drive that performance over time. I think that's a mindset shift, and we need to go that way. Procurement processes across the board need to go in that direction to support that. Then obviously there are issues around data security, etc., that need to be managed in balancing that.
I think we'd echo that as well. I think it's fair to say that all of us along this panel have said that the data is key, and that we want the metrics, we want to be able to see the potential for what the output could be, what the solution could be. But data can be quite scary. It can highlight problems in the business, it can highlight gaps in the business, it can highlight gaps in understanding. So that then lends itself to then a strong partnership-led approach. So we as Zebra cannot work without our partners. Nicholas has already said this, we have to work together. We're a technology provider, Rebel do something differently, but we complement each other well. But we have to work then closely with the ultimate consumer of the product. Who is going to receive this solution, and why are they going to receive it? And their culture needs to adapt and adopt to what we're potentially saying and how we're saying it. It could be scary. It could be revolutionary. It could be completely different to what they believe or what they think they believe right now. And that's a journey, and that's not easily managed and not easily walked through sometimes. So without close collaboration, without close ways of working, without an honesty, a trust, and an understanding that we're all on this journey together, that data can be quite scary.
Okay.
I can pick in on this. Sure. We're now working on a case around mixed palletizing. And so what is important is basically linking it to the warehouse management system. Volker already mentioned it. If you have toilet paper on top, but then you add some piles of plastic bottles with water, you will have a very unstable pallet. Yep. But, and then again, linking to what you just said, Phil, a lot of customers, they don't have that data yet in their warehouse management system. So they don't know, okay, what can we stack on the bottom layer? What can we stack on top? And it's very painful to them to see, okay, we have more than 200,000 SKUs. We don't know what we can stack, and it's all in the heads of our operators. And that's the value today still of the operators. But where you can see vision play a role is, okay, vision systems will one day become so smart that they see it's toilet paper. I used to stack toilet paper on the bottom layer, and now I stack more heavy objects on top. Ooh, that's not smart. So maybe you're already alert, but it's,
So right now you need the human in the loop for this, but you need also labeled data afterwards. So are you sharing data, like open source benchmarks or something? especially for me as a researcher.
It's a good question. At the moment, yeah, we're collecting data very similar to Rebel is doing it, and we're keeping it for ourselves. So we're building on top of open source frameworks, and then train our own AI models. And what we want to do is we want to have the best models that generalize across different scenarios. So that's why you need a lot of data. But we're not sharing it. What we do notice is that we have some customers that don't want us to use their data to retrain our own models. Because, and then they also explicitly ask, okay, but we're also working with other partners, so we want to keep our data ours. And that's then a discussion that we need to have with them if we're willing to do so. But
so how how you change this bottleneck with data? Are you using simulation to get other kind of data, or what are the options?
Simulation has become much better over the last months, so to say, with the introduction of Nano Banana by Google, etc. But yeah. It's something where 2 years ago I heard a lot of companies talk about synthetic data, blah, 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 and I was always very skeptical about it. But now my opinion is changing a bit, because it does help to simulate different backgrounds, to change, because marketing teams they always have the wildest ideas on what print a box needs to have. So it's good that you can already simulate it, but still starting from the real images, that you really simulate part of the image, but keep it close to the environment of your customer. That's how we're implementing it or using it today.
Nicholas, are you using a physical simulation, especially when you're developing robotics and not only a machine vision?
So we use simulation in multiple applications throughout the development process, and that is, of course, absolutely key for us. It shortens development time substantially. It means that our workmates are much more prepared before they come on site for their first assignment, if you like. Then, as Jonathan was saying here, I mean, data collection and use as part of that is critical.
Volker, are you also using simulation?
Yeah, that's at least it's key to get really fast to a result. And the good thing for us is that we have, let's say, reading stations where we get information about items all around the world. The key is really that we also talk to our customers that we do not use the data outside. There are such easy things like if one big cab provider will get notice of how many parcels another provider will ship, this is a competitive advantage. If you take, in a mobile robots application, if you take a map of a production plant in a huge automotive plant, you cannot use that, because you can also say, this is a layout that I also can adapt to my plant. So there are secrets that you should be aware of and should discuss this openly, but definitely we have the data and we use the data to get better. Yes.
Okay. So coming back to the role of the human, when you introduce a new kind of vision-driven automation or robotics, how do you start such a project? How do you talk to the not only CEO, but also to the worker who has to work with the robot or will be replaced in a way?
So when we take that on, we typically go into situations that the workers or the operators don't really want to be in. So it's heavy, repetitive tasks that break bodies over time. I mean, that is those are assignments that no human being actually should have. It should be the robots, it should be the workmates that take those assignments on. Then I think we're again very personal about the way we go about things. So we build strong relationships not only with the management then, but also more importantly even with the operators and the workers. We work a lot with the UI I was talking about before, so it's more like a computer game, stimulating the right behavior. It should be fun to work with. One of our customers even said just before the winter, the next year at Halloween, we're going to dress our robots up. It's on that personal level. They all have names, they're drawn into the organization chart. So again, we try and be colleagues, team members, and want the operators and workers to have fun with our workmates.
Just to add to that as well, I think that to Nicholas's point there, sometimes you can be too drawn to the leadership, the C-suite, those decision makers, the paymasters ultimately, the people that ultimately sign the deal, and forget about the absolute operator at the ground level that is doing some quite horrific tasks at times. We've done time and motion studies with warehouse operatives before and seen that they can walk over 10 kilometers in a day. They are bending, they are lifting, they are moving heavy items on a consistent basis. It's not something we should be asking people to do. So to bring the people element back, to understand what these people are doing, the roles they perform, how difficult they may be, physically difficult, that helps them to physically understand what they're going through, whilst mentally we can understand equally as well, and start to make practical applications, give a tangible result, a tangible return, and not just appease the purchase order, or not just appease the project overview, let's say.
Right.
So I have also really a practical example. We recently, 2 months ago, we introduced the first picking robot in our own distribution center. So I'm in the same situation as Phil. We are more a provider for technology for integrators, but there we said we do it by our own. And we did a little bit of SIG way, SIG as company name. And the thing that we did, we involved the people in the UX UI topic. So we said, really, if we can make it that this robot is working and if there is something going wrong, each and every employee would be capable to step in the cell, fix it, step out again. That gives a feeling of control. And that's what I meant at the beginning. If we do not synchronize, or if we do not really seamlessly integrate this automation with the workers, and then they gave him a crazy name like Picnic is now his name, and they are absolutely fine with that. So taking them in instead of saying this is something that is mystical, miracle, and replacing you. That's the core, I said.
Yeah. I just want to share an example as well. 7 years ago, we implemented a machine vision application to inspect textile. And so we mounted cameras. It was decided with the sea level. No one was informed on the operators. And it felt like a threat to their job. And they were like, okay, what is this? No one talked about it. Will it replace me? How will it? And they started manipulating the camera. So we had to mount a CCTV camera to monitor the camera that was inspecting the textile. And so now, every time we implement such a use case, we immediately mention that they should be informed that there is change coming, but it's for the better. It's a job no one loves. No one loves lying on the ground looking at textile for 7 hours a day, because after 2 minutes you can't see anything anymore. And so that's something that they need to prepare their operators for. They need to mention it. And once you then install everything, they already have given it a name. Yeah. They already know what's coming, and they feel less threatened about it. And that's, in my opinion,
it's a good word to sort of end on that, in the sense of that the people do feel a threat. They feel fear. They're worried. It's the press, the media, everything we read from a consumer's perspective is the robots are coming. The robots are coming.
But they came already like in the 70s.
Exactly, and this is the thing, is, we as Zebra, we talk about the fact that we've been deploying AI, for example, for multiple years. Yes. We've just not given it that acronym. We've not told you it's there. Yeah. But it's been there, and it's been there. But we have to take that back a step, as you say. We have some wonderful technology amongst us all, everybody in this room. But we have to be mindful of the fear element and the people that we are ultimately affecting. We are affecting them in the positive way. But at face value, they don't feel that way.
So how is their role changing then, Phil?
It's changing for the better, as we say. So you and I both talked to that point of augmentation of the worker, support for the worker, development of the worker, improvement of what they can do. So make something more efficient. We talked before in the press centre about the fact that there is an instant gratification and a need and a want for just perfection. We place an order of an evening, we expect it delivered the next morning. To do that, we have to enable the worker to be more efficient, to deliver through the middle mile, let's say, through the warehouse, more efficiently, more expediently, more quickly, more often, more consistently. All of those things. So it's what we're doing, we're making things better. And at a time when labor is in scarce supply, let's be honest, it's not always the first choice for people to move into a logistics operation. How do we do that? So how do we enable the next generation of the workforce, the next panel, for example, the next panel that we will have in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, to be moving into this role, to be moving into this operational environment, but embracing that. We do that by accepting that the demographic has changed, the ways in which children have learned now, the ways in which the people that will replace me in my role, how they've developed over time. They've learned through technology, and they continue to deploy technology. They work with technology. So why wouldn't we implement that from a warehouse and logistics and transportation logistics perspective? Why wouldn't we do that as a step towards the dark warehouse?
Right. So what would you recommend, or all of you recommend organizations who want to start newly with machine vision and want to still have the flexibility to scale up? Just start with a small MVP. Jonathan.
It's already mentioned, data. So I would start collecting data. In the meantime, while you're already collecting data, I would figure out your priorities. No, maybe start with priorities first. Yeah. Because otherwise it would become too expensive adding cameras everywhere. So get your priorities straight is the first thing that you need to do. Then collect data on the ones that have high value, high return. But then also digitize your processes, because what we often forget is that, you can create islands of automation, but in my opinion, the best working warehouse is the one that is completely linked, that is completely digitized. And if that's not the case, then you should work on it, because vision can add a lot of data, but you also have data that is coming out of your warehouse management systems, etc. And the combination is what is really powerful. It's not just that's it. So priorities, data, and then digitization. And the collection of data and digitization can be simultaneously, and then you can build applications once you have everything. Okay. So that's in a nutshell.
And Volker, what would you suggest?
I'm looking into the audience. I'm not sure. So I would say we are talking very much about, let's say, enterprises that have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 distribution centers. They can also take this effort. So therefore, I would propose, let's say, a scalable approach. You can easily have a quality control and inspection where you say, you trained an algorithm and then you put this algorithm on the device at least, and you start small. And then you can learn with this first approach. And I'm not a fan of taking this ultimate solution approach and put it to everybody, because everybody has to start small and can develop from there. There is no need to be perfect at the beginning. But if you do not take the first steps, and this is also our methodology that we say, we can have the algorithm on the device, we can have it on a controller, we can have it in the cloud. So you can start from where you are, and you can gradually develop to the point where you have a full-blown solution that you have mentioned. And I would always keep in mind that maybe an 80-20 solution is better than nothing, and I would not calculate the complete ROI on it has to work 100%. There we are again with the black warehouse, dark warehouse. Yeah.
Phil, besides encouragement or courage of the workers, of the company, what else, and data, what else should they need?
Well, I think to Jonathan's point, Jonathan started with priorities. I think I'd add a middle layer in before we get to the data. And I think what I'd say is choose the right partner. Because the right partner will make the product or project, depending upon how we want to use the terminology, a success. So it's not somebody that comes with a fixed and firm view on life. You take my product, you take my solution, and this is what we deploy. But it's somebody that understands the needs, the wants, and the desires of that particular customer, of that particular facility, and then understands those priorities and understands then how that ultimately a deployment can take place, what that deployment will look like, and how that works together. So you cannot walk into an environment with a scripted view on life that this is what we will deploy. That will fail, and that's why lots of projects do fail and lots of product deployments do fail. So once you have those priorities, it's understand that not all partners will be right for you. Pick the right partner that you can work with, that you can trust, that you know will challenge you, that you know will question you, that you know will drive difficult questions, but somebody, and maybe multiple partners, that will ultimately drive a very strong short, medium, and long-term set of goals.
So Nicholas, what should companies focus on, having partnerships, or should they build more internally knowledge?
So I'll take the view then of the user here. So the retailer operating his own warehouse or the 3PL operator. I think start small, go for the low-hanging fruit, ensure that you go for something that will deliver reasonable ROI quickly, find a partner who you believe that you can work with. This journey is happening now, whether you want it to or not, so you need to jump on that train. And start pushing in that direction. Then technology is going to continue to develop next week, next month, next year, next decade. And the sooner you start, the better. And then continue. Once you've got that first use case in place, you can show that success. You'll get the momentum from the organization. Purchasing will understand that they need to change their purchasing processes, etc. And you can then start automating more and more of the warehouse, moving people tasks from what they are in some cases today, heavy, repetitive, body damaging, to more qualified tasks where they're working together with workmates or robots in a fun, performance-driving way.
Agreed.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, jumping on the train is quite a good phrase. So are there any questions from the audience? We are almost coming to the end. Anybody wants to share some insights, some questions for my wonderful guests?
They all have no clue why they are here. So.
They already have all the data and the interfaces. And
They are operating the dark warehouse already, maybe. So.
yeah, maybe. So when it comes to the future, one final takeaway from each of you. One short statement, just a sentence. What would you suggest?
I think maybe Nicolas can start, and then I can formulate my ideas, because he has a lot of good ideas himself, so it's good to...
Yeah, Nicolas.
No, but this technology is super exciting. It's here to stay. Machine vision was the focus of today. It is a core enabler. Then again, the key is finding a way to integrate that with other Century systems, building your orchestration layer, control layer, and ultimately as a customer then, finding a partner who you want and can work with to identify the low-hanging fruit, deliver on something that gives ROI very, very quickly, and then build from there. No time to lose. Train is going now. Jump on it.
Yeah. Thank you. Phil?
If we'll all keep it a secret, I'm going to use a phrase that my CTO used, and it's augmented collective intelligence. So it's augmentation of the worker with technology and AI. And I think it works very, very well to sort of surmise my personal view on life and where Zebra thinks as a business. In the short to medium terms, let's say that next 3 to 5 years' time, we see augmentation of the worker as the key success point and the key measure of potentially making a significant change. So again, augmented collective intelligence. So yeah, it's from a CTO, but please don't tell him.
Volker, what is your takeaway?
I think we should not be afraid. At the end, if you look into what we are doing today, AMRs are vision-based, have a vision-based location. Stacker cranes have the fine positioning already vision-based, so it's not a miracle. At the end, what I would really look into, where if I can start small, as I've explained before, that you start with steps that are under control, and I would never trust, sorry, now I get maybe into trouble, I would never trust a domain company that says they can everything. So I think to get there, if you would like to have the right data, you have the internal IT department in the game directly. You need mechanical things that maybe not here today. You need control systems. You need, let me say also this word, you need also safety systems that are securing the workers. So you have to have a network that provides you, and you may have a strong partner, but behind this partner there has to be a network. I think nobody in the industry, you can also show me a different view, nobody in this industry is capable to have such a complex warehouse to do it by its own, by their own. That's really where I see you have to pick the best of every world. And we are open to do so, I think.
Agreed.
Perfect, thank you. Jonathan, last words.
No, I had a bit of time to think, but most of everything was said. I wanted to say, don't be afraid. Volker said it. I wanted to say this thing, start small. Some others said it. So, yeah.
Jump on the train.
Jump on the train. And then maybe one last thing, the dark warehouse. Sometimes it won't be dark because for vision you might need light. So that's maybe a final note to close off this.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for having you here. Thank you for joining, and have a good day.
Well done. Thank you. Well done.